It's something with health science that he
Is
did.
it? All right. Is there a motion to come back out of executive session? Motion from Rick Hostetler, second from Chad Wallace. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes to come out of executive session. Let the record reflect that there was no action needed to be taken. Thank you very much. We will move down to Resolution 22-03, and Rand has the resolution. I'll ask Rand to read it, and then we'll have discussion and conversation.
This is Resolution 22-03, a resolution of the Scott County Fiscal Court supporting the City of Georgetown's application for bill grant funds and pledging matching funds to the project. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court recognizes the need for critical infrastructure improvement around Connector Road, Old Oxford Road, and Lexus Way. Whereas the City of Georgetown is applying for 2022 bill transportation discretionary grant funds for the extension of Lexus Way, widening of Old Oxford Road, and a study of design alternatives for Connector Road. Whereas the City of Georgetown intends to pledge a 25% match for this project in an effort to strengthen its application for this highly competitive grant. Whereas the total cost of the project is $13 million. Whereas the application would be in an amount of approximately $9,750,000, which would yield a local match contribution of approximately $3,250,000. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court wishes to partner with the City of Georgetown in this application and pledge 50% of the city's match contribution, now therefore be it resolved by the Scott County Fiscal Court that Scott County is in full support of the City of Georgetown's 2022 Bill Transportation Discretionary Grant Fund application. The county hereby pledges support for the project in the form of matching funds not to exceed $1,625,000. Approved, assuming you do, this 8th day of April 2022.
Conversation, questions, comments.
When's the expectation that that they'll know one way or the other? Is that later in the year? Know that?
Yeah,
It's usually in the fall.
It's usually like November.
Mm-hmm.
That's would be my best answer.
Okay,
And Judge, this is the fourth time that they've applied for this grant, or the third time?
Ever since I've been judge, since 18, it's gone from raised to tiger. It's gone from tiger to raised to build to, I guess it's still build.
Okay.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay.
Questions or comments? I will say that the need for this is real. It is a major issue. If you drive, JR and I have talked about Old Oxford and extending out. I mean, that is a much needed project, and the growth there is magnifying it. If the extension of Lexus Way could happen, that would relieve a lot of pressure off Connector Road as well. And Dr. Wallace, I think this would be the fourth time that they applied for it. So what other questions or comments?
I'll make a comment, and it's just to echo what you said, because this is my district, but it's a much-needed project. It's a big safety issue, and a lot of growth still going out that way with new houses. And when I've campaigned out there, that was one of the number one topics was what's going to happen to this road, and it's dangerous. And with all the new construction that's went on out there, a lot of those big trucks have gotten on the side of the road. And JR, they've went out there and helped, work on some of those roads, and we appreciate, trying to help the city on, but yeah, it's much needed.
JR and his team provided the equipment, operator on several pieces of equipment, and you put a Band-Aid on it. Is that what you call it, JR? It was a Band-Aid, but this would completely improve it, and it would be great if it could get repaved. That would be that'd be a lesser dollar amount, but the big picture of fixing it and fixing it right this would be that answer. So, any other questions or comments?
Oh,
All right. So Stacy wants to point out in the resolution that it is not titled build, it is titled raise. So,
In the heading right there, too.
and there's a couple places in the language. So it is a raise federal grant. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Would there be a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
A motion
To
from
approve.
Kelly Corman. Is there a second? Second from Tim Thompson. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Number 12, surplus elections department. Stacy, can you help me with the information from that?
Miscellaneous items for election.
Miscellaneous items listed, 3 Dell keyboards, 3 Dell mouse, a couple towers, 3 monitors, 2 printers, ECM keys, and MBB card readers. Those have been deemed surplus by staff. What questions or comments? Motion from Rick Hostetler. Second from Alvin Lyons. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I'll go to new business now. We have a guest, Dale Perry, here with us. Dale is representing the Stamping Ground City Council. Dale, would you like to address the court? And Dale's spoken to Jared several times, and
Yes.
and we've talked about the possibility of allowing the city to use property there next to the EMS station for a farmer's market area.
Yes.
I'll let you take it from there.
And basically what the conversation was, we've had a farmer's market before, and the city's allowed the Kentucky Proud groups or just individuals. In the beginning, it wasn't Kentucky Proud. It was just farmers, local producers, and crafters to come in and use space to have a farmer's market once a week. And in talking to people in the past of reasons why maybe it didn't do as well for the people there was where we had it in our location. It's about, I don't know, 1,000 feet off the road, and you really don't see it till you pass by, and you're like, oh, there's the farmer's market. So our thought was maybe we could try the county parking lot that's in front of EMS to have the vendors in there, and then people could park on Main and park around the school area there because it'd be after school hours. But then they'd see it as soon as they come in town. It's within.
It's be mostly on Saturday mornings,
Fridays.
Fridays.
You know, no offense to our people, we couldn't compete with Georgetown's market on Saturdays. So, but
Well, that
usually
make, I
Friday
mean, no,
evenings when
that
they do it.
makes sense to dovetail them.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the one, what was explained to me that it would not interfere with any EMS operation at all.
No, just to pull in that parking lot and park. They wouldn't be on the street there, and we'd have somebody there, either me or another representative that would make sure nobody's parking in there. But the thing would be to park on Main Street, or there's a loop that goes in the school. Since it's after school hours, they could park there and just walk 30 feet through the grass and be into the farmer's market area.
Okay. So you park in that school area as well.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And again, it'd be in line with, I think what Donnie Thompson, the original people that helped create that parking lot and the EMS station was to serve farmers markets and things for the city like that.
Chris, do you have any concerns? I should have talked to you a little bit sooner.
I
but
should have too. I'm sorry, I didn't think
but,
about it. Yeah.
But what was explained to me would be over on the side and
Yeah,
Friday
that'd be our only
evenings.
concern is just egress in and out of the station.
Yeah.
If it's not a concern, then we would,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a beautiful spot there, so
Yeah, thank you.
And your staff already be there parked anyway before they, so.
And then the church uses that on Sundays too, and I don't think they've ever had a problem with the amount of church people.
And I knew
parking
that
there,
as well.
so.
So, Chad Wallace, do you have a question?
Yeah, Dale, what's the what's the time frame? Are you kind of like May to October? Or?
Usually do May to October. Usually the very last one is Buffalo Days, and that's always the first weekend in October. And that's just we let the farmers market people come to Buffalo Days for free. They don't pay a vendor's fee or anything, just to get the last of whatever produce I might have. It's, that time of year, it's usually gourds and sunflowers, things like that. But then the individual crafters, like the jelly makers, they're really stocked up around that time. And so usually May to October, yeah.
Okay.
And the Friday afternoon is what we're thinking it's going to be. Now, I haven't put it out officially to get input. I know the Hardesties and the Bruins and Fosters, people like that weren't to come, but we haven't set a date because I didn't know for sure you all would say yes. And I was going to then put out to them, say, is Friday going to be your best day? Or is Wednesday afternoon your best day? Or,
we always want to help. And if we can find a way to do it, let's find a way to do it. And if Friday's what you all think would be your best night, let's try it and see how it goes. And
gotcha.
that's my 2 cents, but I'm only one vote. So,
and the only other thing I had, I relayed that to Mr. Marshall and Mr. Hostetler and Mr. Lyons today, and I guess that's something you're going to look into to.
Yeah, as far as if somebody wants to have alcohol there,
that was not mentioned.
No, well, and it was, and I'll explain why that did come up in our conversation this morning. I had one person call who makes lotions, and they have CBD products. And I'll admit I know nothing about CBD products.
I don't think there's a problem with that.
And then the alcohol, the only reason that came up was I had a conversation 2 days ago with a guy named Selznick that's over the Brewers Association, and come to find out, people like Country Boy and Equus Run, they can sell their product at farmers markets with their license from their brewery license. So that's why I approached Mr. Marshall to see what his opinion. And I said, if you all say as a body that you don't want that, then I'll just tell those people. But it gives me an answer up front when they ask me.
We've approved alcohol sales at parks.
Okay. I didn't know what your all's park policy was.
But that's only at park and rec sponsored events or tourism. And, but this concept had not crossed my mind, to be honest. I was thinking about tomatoes and green beans.
And to be honest, it hadn't mine either until that conversation with Mr. Selznick, and at our commission meeting Tuesday night, they brought up talking about whether or not they're going to allow any alcohol in our parks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really hadn't been my mind either. So I thought, since this is your all's property, I need to get that answer from you all.
Will you come, Kim? You're welcome to address the court. Yes, ma'am.
Howdy.
If you're interested, I can work with you on the way that we wrote our policy so that you can set it for the farmers markets, if the court is willing to allow that, to put some parameters
Well,
on it.
I appreciate that
And
offer.
make sure it's very clear.
I think there's a couple questions down here.
Yeah, the county farmer market here is here on the city property, which we help pay. So, I mean, if the precedent's there, we could look at their policy. I don't know if they have a policy on this or not.
I don't don't know, because I just hadn't thought
They
about
probably don't. They probably hadn't thought of it
Yeah.
either, but we.
Saturday
did check
morning,
there.
having a cold IPA is.
Well, and honestly, my thought was selling their bottles and you take it home and drink it, not consume it.
No, yeah.
Judge, I'm-
But that license, I believe, and where's our ABC administrator? Look at her.
Hey, Judge,
Yeah, yeah. Rick.
I'm pretty sure that,
Oh, is it Mr.
maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think I am, at the Festival of the Horse, there are a couple of vendors that do wine tasting
They do.
on Main Street, so at least one vendor.
And
And they do alcohol in Lexington during the farmers market.
yeah, and so I'm not saying
Yes, they do.
no. I just want to make sure all of our
Well, liability is what
we
we're concerned
cover
about.
everything.
And I just want to be abundantly clear, I'm
No.
willing to say no to these people if they ask to be there, if you all tell me to.
So let's do this. We have another meeting the Thursday. We can get all our information straight and share with everybody. I'm in favor of the general concept of allowing that space next to the, to be used. But if we're going to go there, let's try to get all our information straight. Alvin, what else would you?
Well, I was going to say, we're only a few weeks away from their wanting to open. I mean, you open in May.
Yeah.
Could we go ahead and authorize them to use the space and then clarify this question
Okay.
down the road?
Yeah, and then if anybody like that contacts me, I can just say, I'm still waiting to know if I can let
And
you come.
to be quite honest with you, some people, if they could stop and have a a legal drink and pick up some, it might make your sales go up.
Yeah, I don't know.
And we're always talking about it in moderation and
another
keeping
question
things.
that just popped in my head, if Mr. Marshall don't mind to get the answer for this, what I'm thinking about is it's connected, contiguous to the school property. They may not be able to sell there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah.
But
that's an issue, yeah.
But as far as insurance, do we need a certificate of?
Yes, I reached out to Devin Golden, the Georgetown city attorney, and asked what they did for the farmer's market here, and she sent it to me. It's basically just an application. Now, there is a section for insurance, and a certificate of insurance
sir.
is required. You know, I don't know, is the farmer's market that operates here, is that like an organized entity? Does anybody know?
It is, yes.
Okay, so will there be, have you all organized, or will you? I mean, will there be like, you know, the Stamping Ground Farmers Market LLC or whatever?
We had a past commissioner that, not as a part of the commission, did it through Kentucky Proud. There's a whole set of stuff you have to do through there. And to be honest, no offense to Kentucky Proud, it rolls out, I think, it rolls out a lot of people that do hand-type stuff, like our jelly makers and stuff. For some reason, there was an issue that they weren't Kentucky Proud at the time. I don't know if it maybe is how they create their stuff at home.
I guess what I'm trying to get is, what entity would provide the insurance? And you may not know the answer to that right
Oh, I don't know the answer to that. I didn't know if it'd be the county insurance or if we need to get a separate insurance policy.
I think the city of Georgetown requires, you know, a separate entity to have insurance. I'll double check that with Devin, but
Okay.
I think that's right.
Is that something that the city of Stamping Ground could put underneath their umbrella, the farmers market?
Well, to be honest, now that I've mentioned that there's people that asked about alcohol and CBD, they'd probably lose their mind if I asked them to. I'll be honest with you. If it came to an entity, my wife and I have what's called Stamp Ground Community in Action, LLC. You should probably kill me for saying this. We'll look and see how much it costs us to get an insurance policy
Well, the
if need be.
certificate of insurance wouldn't be per vendor, it would be from
Event,
the city
yeah.
of Stamping Ground or.
Yeah,
Or some entity.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
It's just one.
and that's what I'm saying. Stamp Ground Community Action could take over the lead of being the entity that's putting it on, and if need be.
So I'm with Alvin. If there would be a motion to approve contingent upon the insurance being turned in and then any questions about policies for
Yeah.
sales of alcohol or such.
And then, oh, sorry.
I was going to move to approve what you
That-
just said.
All right.
One last thing I want to say, I think I gathered in conversations, there also, just for comfort of the court, I think there was talk of a waiver that the individual vendor would sign releasing liability.
Well, that's probably, you know, I don't know if that's what Georgetown does.
Okay. Because I've told the
Any
vendors that, and
layer
they're
of
happy with
protection
doing
we can
that.
add, you know.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is, people trip over curbs, treat people, I mean, it's reality.
I had to
And-
convince the Stamp Ground Commission to repair $18,000 of sidewalks because I started reading about liability of a sidewalk, and yeah, I
So-
totally understand that.
So there's a motion made by Alvin Lyons to approve the request contingent upon the insurance question being answered and question about the alcohol sales policy. And
And
if you'll hook up with Kim about that,
I think we're okay with CBD, right? I mean,
Yeah,
there's
I
no-
don't see where that's an
that
issue.
is not an
Okay, good,
issue at
good,
all
good,
to me.
good.
That is not an issue at all.
Awesome.
So,
Judge, I'll second that, but
okay.
make a comment. Some of this is going to fall on what the city of Stamping Ground wants to do. We're just giving them
We're
the
just-
opportunity to use the property.
Right.
Under these conditions, make sure the liability's covered for the county. But if they want a CBD oil or they don't, or the alcohol
That
part
is
of it,
their-
or they don't.
I
to
do
me,
plan to
that's-
ask them at the next meeting, too.
To me, that's their,
And Rick, I agree with you 1,000 times.
Yeah, yeah, I do plan to ask them at the next meeting about the CBD and the other.
I think,
But I think the question is, it's actually on county
Right.
property.
And that's why,
And if we're going to do that, we have to have it at least covered in that policy.
yeah,
So-
definitely.
you know, the way I'm looking at it overall is the citizens voted for the county to go wet.
Yeah.
So then they elected folks in Stamping Ground.
Yeah.
So you'll have to deal with.
Yeah. No, yeah, I'm sure I'll deal with what I've said today,
So,
but
so what in line with what you all are saying, if Dale and Kim could work for a policy that comes from the city of Stamping Ground, well, essentially what we're doing is we would allow it to happen if the city of Stamping Ground was sponsoring it, just like tourism or just like Parks and Rec.
yeah.
That same thing. So,
And I'm sure that'd be okay because they've already voted on having it. They already
Yeah.
did a motion and voted to have it, so yeah.
So-
And as we said earlier, I'll run it by KCO, our insurer, just to make
Yes.
sure they say, there's no issue with it.
Yeah, and I guess since you said that, I'll need to run by KLC.
Yeah, I will-
David's
yeah.
still on here?
so with that said, we have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
Thank
We
you.
Always appreciate your help.
No.
Thank you.
Next, we've got two more items. I'd like Kim to come to the podium and address the court. Kim, thank you for coming back. Basically, the request, following up our workshop, half of the total estimated cost. We have a cost on the air handler.
Yes.
But we're still waiting because it's out to bid, the structural piece.
Yes.
So the maximum, well, I shouldn't say maximum.
Hopefully.
The estimated cost is $781,000.
Half.
Half of that is $363,451.50.
Well, I'd like to correct you. The estimated cost is 781 is half.
Half of
the
total.
overall estimated cost.
Let me rephrase that. I was trying to have.
$1.5 million.
But
There's a big difference. in
what's in my
781.
head is, does the court want it? There's, well, really, yeah. Do you want to pay
Half
half
of
of
the
that
half.
now, or do you want to pay all of it now? My suggestion would, and Treasurer, please speak up. We've talked about this, and we believe we have the funds to cover half of the half out of reserve for transfer out of this budget, and then put the other half into next year's budget. Or we could wait till after January 1 and put all of the 781, which is half of the expense total, into next year's budget.
Which is what the city's intending to do.
That's what the city's intending to do. I would lean on your all's comments, and we can go from there.
So So if we don't do anything today, just if, so what does that allow you to do for the project? Nothing?
Well, my first billing date is going to be June 20th. I'm sure it's going to be a 30-day net. It just means that I would have to immediately request the money in order to pay that first bill.
So you already got the projects been bid, it's ready to go,
The structural is out to bid right now. The HVAC, we're purchasing off of procurement. They're KPC members.
oh,
And Andrew is helping me with that process. Because Parks and Rec, we've never done that before.
so in other words, if you had some money, you're actually.
We can move.
You're actually in the start and go,
Yes,
ready to go.
absolutely. Yes.
And, the project is what the project is. It's not fancy, it's not a new playground.
I'm getting
But-
some big-ass fans.
But the reality is we cannot operate that building as designed and as it needs to be. This is a safety issue. It cannot continue. This has to be fixed. And in my mind, we have one of two choices. We can do half out of this budget, half out of next year, or we can put it all into next year. Or if you didn't want, or I guess we could, but I don't like putting that much of a squeeze on us in case something came up. Tim Thompson.
Hey, I do have a question. One of the things that we discussed about doing very similar to this was generators. If we pay half now for this project, is that going to affect us get generators for the stations?
So, Tim, I still think that we could, and we just recently, John shared that Harold had on those lines, Harold, John shared in an email that Harold had gotten feedback from Columbia Gas that they can add the capacity here at the courthouse to power the generator that would totally cover this whole courthouse in the event of an outage. So that was the good news for that. So my mind was I was still going to come back and try to hit 3 of the entities out of this year's budget, hopefully. The 2 stations and the EMS station, and then come back and hit the road department and the courthouse out of next year's budget. That was the thought process. But is that what you were thinking going along as?
Yes, sir. I was just saying, didn't know if we get half for this particular project for parks, was that going to affect that or vice versa? Just determining what would be best. If it's not going to affect it, then I say I'll make a motion that we do half now, half next budget, if that's what everybody else is in agreement with.
What other comments?
I'll second the motion, and, I mean, the work's already started. We can certainly absorb it in this year's budget, so I think going ahead and moving half of it is good. And as far as interfering with the generators, we could tap ARPA funds for those if we'd get it tight. So I think we're good on getting those generators
And
going.
here's the reality. If we authorize and put it out to bid, it's going to be a month. And then once we award the bid on the generators, you're looking, heck, it's already June. The money will probably, I almost think that I almost think we could get authorization to put it all out to bid and then just pay for it after July 1, because getting done is probably not a reality. But I like how you're thinking. Is that something, Tim, that you would like to make a motion to go ahead and put all 5 of them out to bid? We discussed it. It is absolutely a need, and then put it into next year's budget. Is that something you wanted to do?
Well, you got a motion already on.
I know. I'm just trying to clarify. So we have a motion on the table from Alvin Lyons. Motion from Tim, a second from Alvin, to authorize an expenditure of $363,451.50 towards repairs at the pavilion.
HVAC. Yes.
And then the second part will be placed into next year's budget, and that's totally separate, but we'll navigate that.
Absolutely.
So this gets you started. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, Mr. Thompson, do you want to make a motion to authorize the judge to put out the bid generators for backup generators at EMS Stamping Ground, Newtown Station, and help me, John. Well, I know Road Department. Station 4 and
How
Station
many?
5.
What's the total number?
5 locations. And is there a second?
Well, can I ask a question? So this is a motion for next year's budget?
This is a motion just to put the bid out.
Okay.
And
But we haven't approved next year's budget.
I know, but it
We
was,
can't put the bid out without approval.
I understand.
in my mind, this gets it rolling. And it, in my
Well,
mind,
we were going
it's
to put it in the budget anyways.
we were going to put it in the budget
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, it is a priority. We cannot go
Yeah.
forward and not, in my mind, in good conscience, not have backup at those spots.
I understand. I was just thinking.
I know.
I don't want to mess the
You
budget
don't want
process.
to put the cart before the horse, and
Yeah.
I respect that 1,000 times, Chad. I appreciate the thought process. I think all we're doing is, we don't have to accept the bids if we don't like them, and if we don't, all we're doing is going ahead and, the work's been done. The specs have pretty much been done. It's just authorizing us to advertise it and put it
I
out.
understand.
And I think it's wise to do so.
Well, we were going
Yeah.
to put it in there anyways.
So one more time, that was for EMS, stamping ground, station 4 and 5.
Road department and the courthouse.
Oh, so there's actually 6.
No, there's 5. Station 4, Station 5, and then road department and courthouse. And the road department's critical as well because it has to be done in my mind.
Yeah.
So yes, Tim Thompson.
I'm sorry, jump in. I thought that we had originally made a motion that we were going to do those 3 this budget and then the road department and courthouse next year. I thought that we had done that.
We'd talked about it, Tim, but we hadn't voted to put a bid out.
Okay.
We just talked about it.
I should know if we had to pull back on to do this.
No, I don't think we ever officially voted to put a bid out. We talked about it. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Kelly Corman. Any other questions or comments?
So, I'm sorry, I'm bad at math, but you said EMS.
EMS stamping ground.
Oh, that's the same.
That's the same thing. And then Station 4, Station 5, road, and courthouse. Yep.
Could you do that one more?
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. We'll get
Before I
that.
step down, I just want to make sure the court knows that the facility will be shut down for 3 weeks during the initial stages of this, of doing the structural repairs and the ductwork above the natatorium. So if you get calls from the constituents, that's why. Okay?
When are your bids due?
I don't know exactly the dates. Yeah, don't have a timeline yet. The
Yeah.
sooner the better.
When are your bids due
Bids due
for the structural?
the 18th, August 18th.
That's when we'll know
12
the
o'clock.
exact amount.
Yes,
So-
yes.
What date now?
August.
You said August.
April 18th at 12
So on
o'clock.
April 18th, if you'll let us know.
Yes.
So we can put that real dollar figure into next year's budget.
Yes, so they close at 12 o'clock, and I have my board meeting at 5:30.
All right. Thank you.
I'm hoping to get everything approved at my board meeting at
All right.
5:30. So.
Thank you. And then finally, our fire department is here, and I'm very proud, that we continue to support our fire department with capital needs. And we, recently received quite a bit of equipment that we had put into the budget for self-contained breathing apparatus to protect our staff, make sure our staff has the best equipment to do their jobs. And I asked John, if you'd come up, Battalion Chief Baker, if you'd like to come up, just to share how this impacts our agency. And then I asked him to come and show us what we got for our money and show the community as well. So they're here, and I'll turn it over to you all, Chief.
Judge, Magistrates, we just thank you for this opportunity. We wanted to come today I know a lot of times you all approve things for us to purchase and maybe never get to see what you've approved. So we want to come to you today to show you what what we spent our money on. And this was a long-needed project. I think our current packs that we're using are 2006. So these packs that we're getting now are replacing packs that were 2006 purchased.
2006.
2006. But with this purchase, we were able to purchase 68 of the packs, 68 30-minute cylinders, 10 60-minute cylinders, 60 face pieces, 60 voice amps, 10 spare regulators, and 7 RIT bags. And basically we've got it here, for you all to see. But again, this was a big purchase for us. It's an important piece that we need to do our jobs. And it's valuable too because, as equipment, it gets used and used and used over the years. There comes a time where you have to replace it. But these packs that we purchased with this money are one of the most updated packs that are out there on the market today. If you come here for our first one. But basically with this pack, it carries a 30-minute cylinder. And when they say 30-minute cylinders, that doesn't mean it's going to last you 30 minutes. It depends how long that person is in there, or how hard they're working, how much they're breathing. They could potentially suck this thing down in 10 or 15 minutes, or sometimes even less. But it's rated at a 30-minute cylinder. On this pack as well, it's equipped with a pass device. So basically, a firefighter that's in there working, as long as they're moving, they're good. But if they were to start standing still, or if that something were to happen to them, they go down, this thing starts alerting. It starts beeping, just because it's not picking up any motion. So basically, and then once it beeps so many times, it goes into a full alarm. So that tells us that we have a firefighter that's in there that's down. Something's wrong. They're not moving. Something's going on. So this pack is equipped with that. It's also equipped with what they call a dual ESS. So basically, if you got multiple firefighters in there working, something happens to one of the pipes, or say his air runs down, this will also give you alerts. It'll let them know through here, through his regulator. It's got lights. It'll let them know how much air is in his cylinder. So, they should be coming out. But if something were to happen, they in there run out of air, they basically have the ability to basically connect in to their partner's air pipe.
Oh, wow.
At that point in time, they would be sharing air. At that point in time, it would be time for them to get out, because if you've got two people now breathing on one pipe, it's not going to last very long at all. But this pipe is equipped with that. Again, on the regulator, what I was talking about, it's got lights up here. That's the heads up display. It tells them how much air they got left in their cylinder. So the face pieces that we got are right here. All face pieces are equipped with what we call a voice amp. So basically, it just amplifies their voice. So when you're in fighting fire, a lot of things are going on, and sometimes you've got this face piece on your mask, or on the mask on your face, it's hard to hear your voice. So this basically right here amplifies your voice, so it makes them.
Could firefighter Birchfield demonstrate that amp? Mr. Birchfield, you doing all right, young man? We appreciate your service.
Thank you. One of the good things about this pack too, our older packs they run on I think it's AA batteries, but like we had a battery for the pass device, and we had batteries for the heads-up display. This new pack, and so you had two places you had to always monitor the battery level. This pack, just one spot for the batteries, and it controls everything. It's an upgraded portion.
Can you say, Luke, this is your father? Little calculator.
Yeah.
I love it.
See, that's what I was talking about. If he's not moving, this pack starts saying what's wrong. It starts giving him some alerts.
So it starts talking to him.
Yeah, so like you need to move. Again, if he stays still for so long, it'll go into full alarm mode. It lets us know that we got a firefighter that's in there down.
Wow.
Another piece of this important project is what we call our RIP bag, and what this bag is. Firefighter, what do you want to bring it back? What this bag enables us to do, if we get the scenario, and we actually purchased 7 of these, the scenario of we get a firefighter that goes down inside of a structure for whatever reason, whether it was a ceiling collapse, whether the floor collapsed, whatever, or he had some kind of medical emergency in the structure. What we would then do, we would declare a mayday. That would activate a RIT team to go in and get that down firefighter. This bag right here is what that RIT team would take in with them. Basically, it's got a bigger cylinder on it, a 60-minute cylinder, more air. It's equipped with a face piece, so if something, his face piece got broke, you could put that on him. And it also, like I said, it's got a regulator. And that's another thing about, so say something happened, you could basically disconnect his regulator and hook this regulator that's in the RIT bag. So basically, this bag is pretty much for our people. So if something were to happen to them inside of a structure, this bag is what's going to go in with the guys to get them out. But again, the bad part about our job is a lot of our equipment is very expensive. But so, this is very important pieces of equipment, and we really appreciate your all's support in funding this project. Again, you all basically replaced packs that were 2006 packs. So, you know, with this upgrade, we haven't yet got them on the truck. We got to get everything inventory. It's a big amount of equipment.
Well.
And we just want to say we appreciate your all's support in that.
I appreciate y'all, your efforts and your service to the community, and court really appreciates that.
Yeah.
Comments or questions from anybody on the court?
I have a quick comment.
Tim Thompson.
Yes, sir. Judge, I appreciate you having Chief Ward come up there and show the stuff. I know sometimes that, folks don't quite understand that we utilize, but like Chief said, this is, a lot of stuff we purchase for the community, the fire trucks, the tools, those types of things that we're doing to help other folks. But this right here is specifically to make sure that when those structures are safe, or God forbid, may they happen, that you got rip bags to be able to go after them. So I applaud the court's efforts for doing this and funding this, and appreciate you guys at the county fire.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad to find out who was swapping.
Captain Catlin, thank you for being with us. How are you?
I had somebody come up here to look good. So.
Yeah. Now, Mullins hadn't said anything yet. Firefighter Mullins.
That's his job. They were all worried that I was going to pick them to come up here and talk, so they were like,
Well, that's what I told you to do, John. Well, thank you all again, and I really think it's good for the court and the community to see, that type of purchase that protects our staff and makes sure our staff have good equipment to take care of them. So.
Like I said, that's a big amount, like 68 of those cylinders. I mean, and face pieces, voice amps. I mean, it's expensive equipment, and that's a big purchase for us.
Well,
we just appreciate you.
No, thank you all so much.
That included recharge for the equipment for the tank. Y'all recharge the tanks yourselves, or?
We do, and that's another piece of the project. That's the one we
Just approved the bid.
That you all approved for us. So we've got that on order. So yeah, it's a fuel station and a new compressor.
Will that will be at one station?
Yes.
Okay.
And we got we will probably come to you at some point in time and surplus a lot of our air packs. We'll keep some for training, but we'll still continue to keep our cylinders because we can use them with this. But
Thank you very much.
you all. Appreciate it.
With that said, I have no new business. Anyone on the court have any other new business? Does anybody in the audience want to address the court? Mike Hennigan.
I have two things. I meant to get on the agenda, but I forgot to ask. First of all, about 3 years ago, I came in front of the court asking for permission to apply for a grant to acquire a home on Leesburg Pike. 3 years later, we've been approved for that grant. It's $275,000 no match grant. So we will be acquiring the property, demolishing the house, and then restoring the property to green space. Be about a 12-month operation to get all those things done. Brian and Sonia Waldridge, who own the property, have already moved to Alabama, so that'll be an easier step. We're just taking an abandoned house, knocking it down, and solving that problem. But it will be deed restricted, so nobody can ever build a structure on there again in order to mitigate some flooding issues that are over there. Just wanted to give the court a heads up that would be happening.
Mike, can we sell the property with deed restrictions?
We can sell the property. I believe we have to keep it for 6 months after it's turned back to green.
How many acres is it?
It's a 5-acre property with a 2,500 square foot house on it. So
that'll be gone.
But the adjacent properties have horses, and they've shown some interest in possibly acquiring it. As long as it doesn't get improved, they could buy it for pasturing
just
horses.
for pasture land.
Yeah. So.
Now, we appreciate your work, and like this has been a marathon.
Yeah.
No, thank you for that update.
Right. And second item, I just want to give kudos to Gina Kraft that works with me. She went down to Mayfield. She was one of the first people in there on December 11th. Stayed 4 days or so, and she's been working tirelessly throughout the last couple months. We just got notice that we've been reimbursed $25,000 for our time for what the city did and what the county did. So a check has been issued based on her hard work to get that documentation submitted to FEMA. So.
Well, thank you very much for that. What are any other comments? With that said, is there a motion to adjourn? Motion from Alvin Lyons, a second from Rick Hostetler. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?